So the one area Mayo I don't know, this actually might have been kind of a business thing. He set a tease. He's promoting the brand. He did I mentioned earlier, he after the press conference, he sat down with all the local TV stations and he sat down with Steve Burton. And Steve Burton asked him about the 3rd overall pick. Here's what he had to say about that.
How excited are you for the draft? You got the 3rd pick in the draft.
Yeah.
And now it's on your shoulders.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very excited. What I will say is this. We're going to draft the best player for a position that is very important. You put the pieces together.
Okay, so a lot of people heard that, instantly think quarterback. They're going best quarterback available at 3rd. For me, when he says, what is it, a position that's very important?
It's very important.
Yeah. Is that his way of saying premium position? Because premium position is a thing. Like that phrase means something. It's quarterback, receiver, tackle, corner, edge rusher. Those are the premium positions.
Yep.
So a position is very important. But I think the reason I don't think he's saying quarterback is because it's too good to be true. That he's just like, yeah, we're drafting quarterback. Telling us in January.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so different. Did you read that as quarterback? Are you bothered if he
at
is
first,
putting
at
out
first I read it as quarterback, but then I'm like, that can easily mean Marvin Harrison Jr. as well.
Right. Wide receiver is a very important position too.
Very important position. Very good player at a very important position. It can mean either or. And look, they're in a decent spot right now, and this is a pick they absolutely have to nail. And whoever they can get the right guy and develop him the wrong way, and he can turn into a bust. They can get the wrong guy and turn him into a superstar. So I mean, it's a really important position for them. But I kind of was thinking quarterback, but I'm like, well, that could also mean Marvin Harrison. So I don't know which way they go with it. And I'm not sure which way I would go with it right now. I'm still on the fence, but I think that could be either way.
Oh, I'm still quarterback.
Yeah.
There's so few examples in the modern era to prove that you can successfully start an offensive rebuild with the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the 3 big spots, right? Offensive line, left tackle, receiver, and quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And I think receiver can be second. Receiver doesn't have to be third, but it can't be first. You either need to have the offensive line or you need to have the quarterback. For example, you look at the Detroit Lions. That whole thing kicked off with them drafting Penei Sewell. And look at where they're at. Whereas the big debate that year was Penei Sewell versus Jamar Chase. And obviously the Bengals are good, but
it's because of Joe Burrow.
Right. What good did Jamar Chase do them when they didn't have Burrow, and their offensive line wasn't very good either? So, and then you look at a team, the team with the best wide receiver in the NFL this year was the Miami Dolphins. They beat fewer teams over 500 than the Patriots, and they were one and done in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, over the history of the league.
Right.
You can look. You can just go back the last 20 years. None of the great teams were led by a receiver. I think most of the
none
teams
of the great receivers won a title,
won championships. I think Marvin Harrison was the only one for a good stretch.
And he had Peyton Manning.
Yeah, right. He was that was it. Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Ocho, Steve Smith. Those guys in their prime. Julio. They just weren't doing it.
AJ Green.
Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce were good, but they weren't really good until Kurt Warner showed up.
Right.
But
and they also had Marshall Faulk.
And Marshall Faulk was really he was oh my God, he was good.
He's amazing.
Cheat code. But yeah, I mean, the more I think about it, and look across the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
Quarterback. You look at Love, look at Stroud, Lamar, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes. Jared Goff was a huge thing for the Detroit Lions. I think he keeps it. They got talent around him, but I think without him, they plummet back to being the Lions again.
And I would say the one exception is the Niners, which is probably the greatest collection of offensive talent in the league.
And still hadn't won yet.
And they still haven't won anything. So, and then you look at a team like, and I know they lost last night, but the Houston Texans, the Texans are the model for the Patriots. And I wouldn't say that, Laramie Tunsil's good. The Texans line is fine. It's not bad. It's not great. It's fine. Nico Collins had a nice year. Tank Dell was a nice player. But I wouldn't say the Houston Texans have a top 10, even top 15 receiver in the league. They hit on the quarterback. They hit on the offensive coordinator. And you look at what that will build, and now they're in a position to go out and make that premium investment at the wide receiver position.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
left
model.
tackle as well. Excuse me.
Right. Yeah, no, good point. So I just think you start with a quarterback. I just think that's it, especially you're drafting third. You're hopefully not drafting third again. You might not have a chance to take a quarterback this high, and then it's either trade up or you did what you did in 21, and you wait for whichever guy falls to you by default. And that obviously didn't work out for the Patriots in what was considered a deep quarterback class. I saw a tweet this week that I thought is funny. It's true. Feels true. A lot of Patriots fans, the tweet said, a lot of Patriots fans are so traumatized by Mac Jones being a bust, they're scared of the concept of drafting a quarterback in the first round altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would say is this is why people like me, I think like you, Cerrone, who were on the Mac Jones bandwagon really late, and we were getting criticized for it because he wasn't playing well. It wasn't necessarily a Mac Jones thing. It was the alternative is the quarterback carousel. And the quarterback carousel is petrifying. There's 100 doors in front of you, and behind 99 of them is nothing but darkness and despair and nothingness. That's really what it is. Like, you go in the carousel, you might not come out for 20 years. You don't know. You want to, and this is not me saying that they should bring Mac Jones back, but it's me saying that you want to exhaust every option before you go back into that. And I think they did. And they ultimately had to go back in. But now what I would say, a lot of the same people who are down on Mac Jones are saying, well, what if Jaden Daniels is another Mac Jones? What if Drake May is another Mac Jones? What if they're busts? To which I would say, well, what's the alternative? It's either 36-year-old Kirk Cousins coming off a torn Achilles. It's
an old bust.
right. It's a bridge guy, or it's running it back. Like, there's no good way to go from here. You're going to have to take a risk. And if you are going to take that risk, I'd rather them swing big. And I'd rather them go with Jaden Daniels or Drake May.
I'm big on Jaden Daniels. I'm way bigger on him than I am on Drake May. And maybe because I've just seen too much of Drake May because of my location. But I'm big on Jaden Daniels. I'm big on his. Now, Drake May can move with his legs. He can move. People don't realize that. He can get out and move. But I like Jaden Daniels' versatility. He can throw the ball like not like very few can. But I think he'd be a decent guy to have as a new face of your franchise. I mean, that's what you're looking for right now. So we can stop looking at Mayo. We're going to be looking at the quarterback. Right. Once they make that pick, he's going to be the one getting all the attention. But I think they can also – I think the drop-off at receiver from Marvin Harrison to the next guy is not as wide as people make it out to be.
Not even close.
And I think there's some receiver talent that they can get later on, whereas the quarterback drop-off I think is more sharper from first-round pick to second, third-round pick.
So I'll give you this. The people who say, oh, just take the quarterback on day 2, pair him with Harrison, that'll work. Like, you can get a lesser quarterback. Teams have tried to do that strategy in recent years. Last 5 years, Cerrone, here's your day 2 quarterbacks. Will Levis, Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, Davis Mills, Jalen Hurts, Drew Lock, Will Grier. Yeah. That's the group you're testing if you go day 2. And look, Jalen Hurts isn't bad. Do you trust yourself to find that guy? Are you willing to put, if you're Jerod Mayo, are you willing to put your job on the line? If you're the Patriots and advising him, are you willing to put the franchise on the line that you can identify Jalen Hurts, who did not have a great year this year, by the way?
No, and the key with Jalen Hurts was he didn't have a great year to start off. It was they had to go get the A.J. Brown and get Devontae Smith for him to, in the running game, for him to look like the Jalen Hurts we saw in the Super Bowl last year. When you get second-round talent, you better have talent around them to help to boost them up, to kind of get them going. And even with the talent around them this year, he kind of leveled off.
Even Marvin
Whereas first-round talent can carry a lesser offense around them to kind of build the guys around them up. And I think with them being in a position where they need a face of the franchise, you have to take a quarterback.
Yeah,
I've talked myself into that as we've been on the show.
Harrison, to me, sorry to cut you out,
no, it's fine.
Marvin Harrison is not an instant fix. He's a tremendous player. He's a tremendous prospect. He's the best wide receiver prospect I've seen in my time doing this. But you're not going to plug him in and suddenly be a top 10 offense and go, 10-7, 11-6. Mm-hmm. He just can't. A single wide receiver cannot have that kind of impact, especially when who else is there on the offense for defenses to respect? A quarterback, you saw it with C.J. Stroud, can have that kind of impact. And that is why, that is again where the Patriots, I think, need to focus in on a quarterback in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. If you have a good, young, hot quarterback come in here with C.J. Stroud-type ability, if they hit on that, that's big time.
Right.
He now elevates the Tyquan Thorntons and the Pop Douglases. He makes those guys around them better, whereas Marvin Harrison makes himself better. He's DeAndre Hopkins in Texas.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's just unstoppable with Deshaun Watson, whatever, but then they're not really winning anything. Whereas Pat Mahomes walks in, it's like, I don't know, who's the dude over there in the red shirt? I don't know, just throw it to him. He makes everybody better. And Josh Allen, when he got going, he's just tremendous talent on the move, whatever. Anybody out there in a blue uniform is a threat when Josh Allen has the football. And I think that's what a quarterback can do for you.
You know, you go out, quarterback classes really come and go. There aren't as many good quarterbacks as there used to be. There's good wide receivers every year. It might not be Marvin Harrison, but people are acting like Marvin Harrison is the last wide receiver prospect ever. If you don't get him, you'll never be able to add another wide receiver. There will continue to be other good receivers, some of them, believe it or not, in this draft. So, again, that's just where I'm at. We'll see. Long way to go in the process. We'll see what happens. That's where I sit.